Alright guys, so I guess what something that I've been thinking about and working with for quite some time is the whole iPhone versus Android experience, I guess you can call it. Now granted, this is a moto vlog and it's not going to be anything motorcycle related, really. Well, maybe a little bit. So I have been an iPhone user for, Jesus Christ, guy, come on. I've been an iPhone user for quite some time, actually since the beginning. And I've also been an Android user for quite some time as well. You know, I've had many an Android phone. And I always kind of bounce back and forth between the two. I've had Android phones in the past that I liked, but none that I loved. None that were just perfect and worked flawlessly like my iPhone, unfortunately. Now the iPhone is not perfect in its sense either. I mean, there's things that are wrong with the iPhone that, you know, Android gets right. You know, there's little things, but on a whole, I mean, for me, the iPhone works so well. And on top of which, everything I have is Apple. I have a Mac, I have an iPad, I have a MacBook, you know, like I have all that stuff. So that being said, all right, what the everyone's just around here in this intersection. So yeah, so everything I have is Apple. So I'm pretty well integrated into that Apple ecosystem. And once you're embedded into that Apple ecosystem, it's very hard to sever the cord and break away from Apple. Once they got you by the balls. I mean, there's no leaving that. And it's very apparent every time I try. So recently, my most recent endeavor to try and try something else and go over to Android, they just released the HTC One M8. And it is a beautiful phone. It is really, really nice. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. If you're an Android lover, I mean, it is a badass phone, let me tell you. However, there are some things that I didn't like about it. It's not without fault. Now, being that I ride a motorcycle, and this is my daily driver, I listen to music while I ride. The headphones that came with the HTC One M8, they only allow you to pause and play the track. They don't allow you to adjust the volume, and they don't allow you to skip the track. And I know you're saying, oh, but that's just the headphones that it came with. You can get additional headphones. Well, I have other headphones that are Android compatible and have the volume adjuster and have everything on it, and none of those functions worked. So whatever I set it from the time I left, that's pretty much what I'm stuck with. Not to me, I mean, it's something minor, but to me, it's actually something major, because I listen to music all the time when I ride, and I ride every day, so it's not something I do recreationally. So to me, to have that music is pretty important. To have the ability to adjust the volume and adjust the track, that's a fairly important thing to me. And then there was the issue of, because everything I have is Apple, everything I have uses iMessage. So my phone number was pretty much embedded into iMessage. So everybody that I know that has an that has an iPhone rather, every time they would send me a text message, it would go as an iMessage, but I no longer had an iPhone. So those messages pretty much got lost in space. Come on, guy, go! Jesus. So yeah, so those text messages were pretty much lost to the world, because it was still sending it as an iMessage, although I didn't have my iPhone to receive it as an iMessage. I would receive it on my iPad and I'd receive it on my Mac. But if I'm out somewhere, I don't always have those things with me. So, you know, I'm not getting the messages that I need. So I ended up having to call Apple, and Apple has to remove your phone number from their data banks, I guess. Where the hell am I going? I'm not even sure I know where I am right now. I know where I am. I'll figure it out. So yeah, so they had to remove my name from their data banks, and eventually after that, once they did that, it took like 24 hours for it to finalize, and then I finally started receiving my text messages. But it's a bit of a pain in the ass because I missed a lot of messages because of that. So it's, you know, it's little things like that. For me as a biker, the iPhone just works so well. It's so simplistic in its operation, which in turn kind of sometimes makes it a little boring, which is really the reason why I wanted to try something else. You know, I wanted to see if I can find something cool that I just really like and, you know, enjoy picking up and playing with sometimes. But, you know, I guess the functionality beats everything overall, because if it doesn't work the way you want it to work, then, you know, what's the point? It could be as pretty as you like, but if it doesn't function properly, or maybe not function properly, but function to your standards, then, you know, it's useless. It's a useless phone. And that's kind of how I started to feel about it. I was like, you know, it's just not cutting the mustard. It's not living up to my standards. And I'm a total electronic and phone geek. So, you know, I have fairly high standards. And I don't know, my iPhone just works brilliantly. So as far as for me, the battle between Apple and Android, Apple wins hands down. And it's not just the HTC One M8, by the way. I've also tried the Samsung Galaxy S3. I had that phone for a while. That phone to me felt like a toy. It's that, you know, that plastic case and everything feels really cheap. Plus, it looked really kiddie, like the font and the theme that phone has. It looks very childish. And I'm a grown-ass man. I don't need a childish phone. I need something that the font doesn't look like, you know, something you'd find on an 11-year-old girl's computer. I just need it to look like a phone. That was another drawback for me. So the Galaxy, in the Galaxy S3, the battery life was horrendous. I've also tried I had the HTC Hero back in the day. I had the first HTC Evo 4G. I had that one. I've had various others. I mean, I've played with a lot of them. I've played with Windows Phone for a little bit. That one was god-awful. So at the end of the day, I always end up coming back to Apple. Apple seems to have this death grip on me that I can't seem to shake. And everything Apple does is so bloody expensive. But I guess it's within reason. I mean, you get what you pay for. It's bloody expensive, but it works. And if it works, you know, I'll pay whatever amount of money is necessary for that to happen. Pretty much, I think from here on out, I'm gonna stop attempting to switch over to Android. Oh God, my balls. I'm gonna stop attempting to switch out to Android, and I'm just gonna stick to Apple. I think I've learned my lesson. I think this is like the 4th or 5th time I've tried this, and it seems like I don't seem to learn. But I'm telling myself right now, I've learned my lesson. Hopefully this helps you guys.